And we'll never be royals. Yes, it's that composition that everybody loves to hate, or, well, at least likes in the mid game, but you always got to kind of get out of it before you get to the end game because it just really doesn't scale enough unless you, for some reason, have 4 upgraded Arthurs, like on turn 3, which is technically impossible. But, aside from things like that, it's yeah, one of those compositions. It never really holds its own into the late game, except in a couple of niche situations, which we might see here, or which we do see here, where we have a relatively weak lobby. And don't mean weak in the sense that the players aren't good players. It's just that they don't find strong compositions by the end of the game. So it does take a certain set of situations in which you can actually stay within those princes and princesses, and have them the majority of your composition towards the end of the game, and then still actually come out on top with the first place. As you can probably imagine, it does revolve around Good Boy. Surprisingly, this one I don't even get the magic sword, so it's not even like a super good boy, but it does and lend itself in the end to, or it works itself out in the end anyways, so I can't complain too much about that. So we're just going to pause this one right here because we hit this blind mouse triple. So I had already seen a dwarf player, and so otherwise I would have snapped off this Dwarven Forge in a heartbeat when you get this early of a 4 with the blind mice. But already having seen Loki, I believe, no, somebody, Avella was it? Somebody was trying to play dwarves already, so I decided I'm not going to fight over those early dwarves, because when you're splitting up the doublies and the fannies between you, then it gets really really cluttered and a really bad composition when your dwarf team is made up of Tweedledees and Luckies, right? So decide to stay out of that and take the Sky Castle and force princes and princesses, even though I'm not really starting with any, right? But we have a direction to go, and sometimes that's kind of all you need, although I do get myself into this trap every once in a while where you're forcing a composition rather than playing what you find, or playing what's open, what you find. But, early Sky Castle, that brave princess, she's gonna slay. Absolutely, she's gonna slay. So we'll get her onto the team there and get her going on her quest, and just kind of, keep on the lookout for more good units here. Did get a pretty lucky hit on that one there with the Mim, and then we find an amazing shop, just outstanding shop here. This is probably one of the highest rolls I've ever seen in this game, at this point of the game at any rate, where there's all the 4 of those units in there, and we're going to be able to buy it all, because we've got some units to sell and whatnot. So we're taking it all. I should have considered keeping the at least one of the dragons for slotting in certain situations, but I didn't, and that is what it is. But at the end of the day, it kind of works itself out anyways, because I generally don't like the dragons once we get to level 4, because they're just, people have found better support units in the back, or they've buffed their support units. Like here has got a 2/7 and a 5/3 on the back line, so that little dragon maybe had a 1 in 3 of killing that brave princess. But yeah, dragons tend to really, the baby dragon anyways, tends to really fall off when we hit 4 here, which is why lightning dragon's on 4. So we just keep finding our princes and princesses here. I'm humming and hawing over that adventurer. But I think I decide finally at the end just to take the Sporko and get ourselves more attack on our ranged unit first, or first position ranged unit. And looks like I was contemplating selling for a roll, but make the smart decision just to keep my unit for later. So some of these battles definitely do go my way, and with the way the hits turn out, and some of them are just, too big for us, like Avella. Avella's just sick in the mid game when she gets a queen and a bunch of animals up front. So, and here we find the combo. So a few different ways that we can build royals. So you can go Romeo and Juliet's, where you want a couple of Romeos and a Juliet, and when you get them upgraded, of course, that makes it even that much better. The second way we can play it is with court wizards and have court wizards on the back instead of these support units, in which case this can sometimes be a trap unless you've got enough health on your supports to so that they don't die when they go attacking on people, because you definitely want them dying when they get attacked with the court wizard plan. And then the third way you can build it is with godmothers, but that's just generally for any good composition in most situations. So we take another L there because we're kind of still rounding out our composition. Lance is a huge addition here. And I think this is the round I also find a godmother, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I know it was. Yeah, I take the Grim Soul here just so if we get lucky, then the Lancelot will trigger. And if I recall correctly in this game here, it works out in our favor. So the luck swinging both ways there. Unlucky in the last couple of rounds, but this round we do get lucky because he gets the Slay there and triggers with the 25 attack. So I'm hoping to get out of supports, so I'm really not wanting this Horn of Olympus, so I decide just to take the Dracula Saber. We finally found a second Arthur, although it's getting pretty late to get an upgraded Arthur at this point, but the worst we can do is try, right? Because if we don't try, we'll never get there. Keep looking. Do I want to double up on that Good Witch? No, I don't, but I definitely do want to get my my Juliet and my Romeo buffed up here. So we've got two upgraded princes, so I just get the Arthurs on the field so that we can start pumping up those guys. Yeah, luckily for me, with my Romeo getting sniped there, it didn't actually hurt me because we eked it out with just a couple of hits after. So looking at that Court Wizard is a bit too late here as we're going into level 6 for Court Wizards, unless you've got some support for your ranged units like the Telltale Quiver and maybe Hat Ball going so that you can pump up his power pretty decently. And at this point, I'm just looking to hit my triples. Doesn't turn out for us in this situation, so going into 6, we're just going to save all our units in the back there to hopefully hit the fabled good boy and keep ramping up the level of power that we've got here. So revenge battle against Avella here, but he's now got an upgraded bird in the back, so definitely not winning this one at any point in any universe, but do good to take out all of his units except for that bird. So not much choice there. Could have skipped on a deck of many things if I wanted to keep the hat just for cheaper spells, but it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It's not. It's really neither here nor there, to be honest, on that selection. then we can switch out something at this point for that thing, but there was the good boy in the thing, so I just take the gold and a couple of cells and we get our good boy, which makes a decently sized Royals composition here for the first round of 6. And we get this win pretty easily and knock Merlin out before he can do too much with his stuff. And now we get another triple, so all of the Arthur stuff is kind of coming together at this point, which is pretty nice. And then at this point, that Princes and Princesses with +4/+4 is getting, Arthur is doing that itself each turn. So we can get off of that and get a little bit more attack on our good boy to just make our team that much better. There's no reason to think about another Juliet here because more Juliets doesn't mean anything. More Romeos More Romeos does mean something, but not more Juliets. So we get the second good boy, and they proc both in order, and that just kind of gives us the power to get over the hump with this very mediocre dwarfs build that Loki ended up on there. He gets stronger later, don't worry, but at this point that was a pretty weak dwarfs board. So wasting 4 gold to try and hold on to a knighthood is not a good play in this situation. So we just keep rolling away and we're seeing all the knighthoods. Unfortunately, just this situation is a little bit easier to make that call. But instead of locking and grabbing a unit just to grief Loki out of that, I decided to open up more spots in the shop. So I could have bought the 1 unit, but I bought the 2 units to open up 2 slots for things to spawn for the next round. So even with the exploding mittens here, our team is big enough because of Good Boy. And we managed to take Cruella down finally. And we get to get the upgraded Good Boy, which is the turning point for sure. Get us where we're not thinking about doing anything else. We're not thinking about switching to ranged units at this point because we would need to find the sword before that kind of a strategy becomes good. So we're just going to try, or not good, but decent. So we're just going to try and bank on these good boys to bring home the bacon. So as they speak, we do get a turn off here, so casting the spell wasn't such a bad thing. And this battle goes pretty much as expected there, even one-shotting a Green Knight without too much trouble and getting into the final 2 with the Loki. So we can assume that at this point Loki's really gotten himself a lot better. He emotes there that he did find something, so that is what it is. So we kind of expected that he's got something decent. I forget what I was contemplating on this one here. Like the Hugify is an obvious pick. I was thinking about the Evil Twin, but it's just kind of making our board overall weaker. Then the Cupid is obviously a much better DPS unit than the Brave Princess at this point because you can get their own units attacking each other. And yeah, Loki was the sad owl because he realized I hit my upgraded unit. He got his upgraded Lordy is what he was emoting about. I figured it out during the battle, but so here just deciding Arthur's not really doing a lot at this point in the game anymore, so let's just get another Cupid in there and just present him with threats that he can't interact with because he doesn't have flying, and it gives us an out against Pigmorph. So if he pigged one of our Cupids, then that kind of might ruin our plan altogether, but there we have it. That is how Royals can actually end up in the first place. So actually, let's go back to Loki's final board here, and if it would just pause for me. So we upgraded Angry, upgraded Lordy, and like the two upgraded bossies in the back is definitely suboptimal. Like you'd rather have even two more regular doublies in this position. And then obviously the crafty is it's a tier 2 unit in your final composition, so really can't be all of that good, although it's good in the fact that it's another dwarf on your board that helps Lordy pump everything else. But yeah, just overall didn't have enough health and toughness to overcome the good boy with a few Hugifies cast on it. So I appreciate you guys for checking out the video. That is, one of those rare instances where Royals will take it home at the end, although I did kind of dilute the composition with the scammy Cupid. But yeah, all in all, not too sad with that one. And yeah, I appreciate you all, and we will see you in the next one.